I recommended that we maintain 2,500 troops in Afghanistan. And I also recommended earlier in the fall of 2020 that we maintain 4,500 at that time. Those are my personal views.
And just for our viewers, here's a reminder of what President Biden said in August during an interview with GMA host George Stephanopoulos. Watch.
Your top military advisors warned against withdrawing on this timeline. They wanted you to keep about 2,500 troops.
No, they didn't. It was split. That wasn't true. That wasn't true.
They didn't tell you that they wanted troops to stay?
No.
Well, to weigh in on all this, let's bring in South Carolina Senator and former Air Force Judge Advocate General Lindsey Graham. Senator, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Senator, before we get to Afghanistan, a lot to break down. Last night, we showed a video of you at an event in Michigan this past weekend thanking the Border Patrol. What has the response been?
It's been overwhelming, Sean. As you know, you were there. The Vice President and the President of the United States, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, when they look at the border, they find fault with the Border Patrol agents. When I look at the border, I find chaos created by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So the people in Michigan at the Republican event said, we've got your back to the Border Patrol. If you're listening tonight to this program, I want you to know that Senator Graham has the Border Patrol's back. And what's so disturbing is that when you look at the border and you blame the Border Patrol agents, that's pretty sick. Joe Biden needs to look in the mirror if he wants somebody to blame about the border.
Senator, I do want to get to the Senate hearing today. We had General Milley and General McKenzie both confirmed that they advised President Biden to leave 2,500 U.S. troops in Afghanistan. This completely contradicts what President Biden said happened. Somebody's not being straight with us here.
Well, one of two things happened. The President of the United States was trying to mislead the American people about the military advice he's received, or he forgot about it. This is the same President Biden who said there's no al-Qaeda element still in Afghanistan. So it really is unnerving to hear the President of the United States say just a month or so ago that nobody in the military told him the consequences of leaving Afghanistan without a residual force, when in fact everybody in the military, all the generals, the Secretary of Defense, probably the guy guarding the door at the White House, told President Biden, if you leave, the place is going to fall apart, the Taliban will take over, and al-Qaeda will come roaring back. So either Joe Biden can't remember what he was told, or he's lying about what he was told.
I want to play a quick clip of your colleague, Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, in questioning some of these folks today.
Did you at any point create options for keeping Bagram open beyond July 2nd?
Yes.
Did you provide options for keeping Bagram open directly to the president?
Yes.
So, Senator Graham, what I've been told is this, that they did give the president options, but he told them, you only have 700 troops, which they would say, well, then we can't guard Bagram and we have to use the Kabul airport. So this is a false choice that is being perpetuated, that somehow the military chose which base. If you only give 700 troops, they can only guard a small airport. Is that correct?
That's beyond correct, and I know you're a Navy reservist, and you understand this very well. This is the first time in history I'm aware of where you take all the military out first, then hope you can get American civilians out later. So what they were given was a choice between securing the embassy and Bagram Air Base, because they couldn't do both. If we'd kept Bagram under our control, we'd have been able to get more people out. We'd had a military footprint to have leverage against the Taliban. This is not Trump's fault. This is not the general's fault. This is President Joe Biden's fault. He's been wrong about everything when it comes to foreign policy. He's the guy that wanted to withdraw from Iraq that led to ISIS that Trump wound up crushing. And he is the President of the United States who turned down sound military advice and gave these choices to the generals. It is his fault. We're going to get attacked again if nothing changes. We've got a surrendered border. We've got terrorists in charge of Afghanistan. It's just going to be a matter of time to terrorist elements from the Mideast come through a broken southern border and kill a bunch of us if we don't change course. And the person responsible for that debacle is President Biden.
Yeah, I want to play for you what General Milley said about the calls that he had with his colleagues in China that were revealed in the Bob Woodward book. Take a listen.
Yeah.
I am certain that President Trump did not intend to attack the Chinese. At no time was I attempting to change or influence the process, usurp authority, or insert myself in the chain of command. But I am expected, I am required to give my advice and ensure that the president is fully informed on military matters.
So, Senator, you're a JAG officer, or you were.
Right.
Here's what I don't get. The call is one thing, and that's where I think we're missing the boat here. It's what he said in the call, the content of the call, that's the big deal here. Right. He told the Chinese, I'll give you a heads up if something goes wrong. In your professional opinion, President Trump said if that was true, it was treason. Is it?
Yeah, I spent an hour and a half with General Milley. I just didn't think about it. I actually spent an hour and a half with him and Congressman Waltz, where he walked me through both phone calls, and it was an intelligence-driven process. You're a military member. There was intel that the Chinese believed that Donald Trump was going to initiate attack against China to change the narrative for the 2020 race. That is a bunch of BS. This phone call was generated by civilian control working with the military to reassure the Chinese that President Trump was not going to initiate attack against the Chinese. I'm okay with what General Milley did, and the January 8th call was planned December the 31st, requested by the Chinese. Again, the problem here is not President Trump, it's not General Milley. The reason that we're in such a bad shape is because President Joe Biden, has surrendered our border, turned Afghanistan to a terrorist safe haven, and is weak in the face of China. But I'm confident, after listening for an hour and a half and looking at the documents, that these phone calls were coordinated with civilian authorities, and it made sense to me.
We're talking about holding President Biden accountable. He called what happened in Afghanistan an extraordinary success, Senator. We even had both generals today say that it was completely the opposite of that. It was a strategic failure. President Biden said the buck's going to stop with him. What are the next steps here based on this hearing? Is he going to be held responsible?
I hope the American people listen today. Y'all have done a good job of explaining what he was actually told. President Biden has made the biggest mistake since 9/11. He was told the consequences of removing all of our troops. Bagram Air Base was in U.S. control on January the 20th when Biden took over. We had 2,500 people on the ground with NATO members protecting the American homeland. It was an insurance policy against another 9/11. It wasn't Donald Trump that withdrew all of our forces. It wasn't a recommendation of the general. It was a decision by President Joe Biden to pull the plug on Afghanistan. He has set in motion another 9/11 between an out-of-control border and terrorism on the rise in Afghanistan and throughout the world. It's just a matter of time till we get attacked again if President Biden doesn't change policy. President Biden, in case you're watching, go back to the Trump policy on the border and put some ground forces in the area. We can't do this over the horizon when it comes to policing the Taliban. The Taliban are terrorists. They're close to al-Qaeda. You can't trust the Taliban to protect America. This is the biggest mistake since 9/11. I've never been more worried about a terrorist attack than I am right now.
Wow. Senator Lindsey Graham, appreciate your time this evening. Appreciate your insights.
Thank you.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.